Suppose that Jake here were to claim that your favorite sport should be banned. Suppose that you make a counter-argument saying that doing that would restrict your freedom too much. Suppose that Jake replies by saying nothing in life is free. Is that a valid counter-argument? Suppose that Julie here were to say that she is defining the word murderer as anyone who disagrees with her. Suppose that she were to say that Paul disagrees with her, so he should go to prison for life because he is a murderer. Is that a valid argument? What does that have in common with the first example? Let's explore the fallacy of equivocation to find out. We'll also learn why it's always important to be precise when dealing with complex or controversial topics. The fallacy of equivocation is where somebody uses words that have at least two different meanings in an argument. The argument is sound for one meaning, but the person making the argument is trying to get people to believe that the argument's sound for the other meaning when it's not. Check out our earlier video about deconstructing argument to learn more about what makes an argument sound. Let's take a silly example to start with. If Jordan here were to say, Fiona's been fired from work, so she must have been burnt, he'd be committing the fallacy. He starts by using fired to mean lost her job, but then uses it later to mean set on fire. This is like our first example. Jake said, nothing in life is free, but that phrase means nothing in life is free of charge, not you could never be free from this specific coercion that I'm proposing. But the way that he uses the phrase in argument only makes sense if it bears that latter meaning. His argument is invalid because it commits this fallacy. Julie committed the fallacy too. She did it by using a special definition of murderer that she'd made up just for the purpose. She used the word murderer in her special made-up sense to describe people who disagree with her. But then she said that Paul should be sent to prison because he's a murderer. That's using the word murderer in its normal sense. She hasn't given anyone a valid reason to believe that Paul should go to prison just for disagreeing with her. This is a common technique that people use to try to trick people into thinking that they've made a valid argument when they haven't. Always be very skeptical whenever somebody uses a word in an argument in a special made-up sense. Any meaning can be communicated using words in their normal sense, so giving a word a special meaning is often just a way of trying to get people to believe things that aren't true. One form of this fallacy is called the Mott and Bailey. This is where a person makes a claim using one meaning of a word and intends people to act as if that meaning were true, but can only defend a much more limited claim that can be described using the same word. Sometimes they combine this technique with making up new meanings for words, just like Julie did. Often, people who commit the fallacy of equivocation are purposely trying to get people to believe things that they know aren't true. See our videos on motivated reasoning and scrutiny suppression to learn more about how people try to do this and what to do about it. Sometimes, though, people can commit this fallacy by mistake. That's because many people often don't think about things very precisely. People might not realize that a particular word has two different meanings, or know that there are different meanings but not think carefully about which one applies. That's why it's important to be precise. By being precise, you're less likely to commit this fallacy by mistake. But also, if you make a habit of being precise, it's much easier to spot when other people commit this fallacy, whether by accident or on purpose. Being imprecise is fine in casual conversation, but as soon as you start to get into complex or controversial topics, get your precision mind ready for some critical thinking action. If you're not sure which meaning of a word that a person who makes an argument intends, ask. If an argument is vague, ask for it to be made more precise. And be very skeptical if a person seems to be intentionally vague when making an argument or refuses to be precise when asked. Being vague on purpose is often used to make it easier to commit this fallacy. Have you come across any examples of the fallacy of equivocation recently? If so, let us know in the comments. And if you liked this video, check out our other videos on critical thinking and liberal values. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this one.